Hey, 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 good morning, everybody. This is Robin from Roaming with Rover, and this is Finish It Friday. Okay, so what's been going on this week? Let me tell you. I have been a busy little bee. Busy, busy, busy. So, what have I been busy working on? I'll tell you what. I have been getting my squares ready to go in the mail. I finished all the squares, and I think I told you that already. Finished all the squares, and this week the squares are being blocked. So putting them on the blocks and I ended up having to steam block, and I'm going to show you a video of steam blocking all of those things so that you can see what that looks like. I was afraid of doing it, but it really ended up not being hard at all. So I'm going to show you the steam blocking process. But I also wanted to show you I'm getting a few of my blocks. And these are the blocks that are from Miss Dana's Spring Block Exchange, hashtag Spring Block Exchange. And we are making 10-inch square blocks. This is an example of one of my blocks. Turning out really nice. And we are mailing them off to people. There are 12 of us in a group, so we're mailing off 11 blocks. We're getting 11 blocks back in the mail, and then we will be connecting them. I keep saying sewing them together. I suppose you could if you wanted to. I'll be crocheting mine together, and then we'll have a friendship blanket when we're done. That's what I'm calling it, hashtag friendship blanket. And so our blocks all have to be in the mail by May 1st. That's the deadline to get them mailed out. And then we'll connect them all together and have a friendship blanket. Yay! So I've gotten a few in the mail, and I want to show those to you. So of course this one, I think I showed you this one before. This is the one that came from Miss Cynthia. She's in my group, and we met for coffee and got to exchange them. So that was fun. And then I got this one in the mail from Diane. She's in my group. This one is beautiful. Isn't that, look at how rich those blues are. So, so pretty. Beautiful, beautiful. And I got one more in the mail, and this is from Miss Ellen. And this one is also beautiful. Now, it was funny because Miss Ellen actually used the same yarn that I did. So this is a mandala cake. So this is the same weight as mine. And this one is, I can tell just by feeling it's a 4-weight. So just as an example, see if I can do this. I'm not that coordinated, y'all. Let's see if I can do this. If I do not. I was going to say if I had some stitch markers, I could chunk these together and we could kind of see what they would look like. I got a couple stitch markers. Let's see if I can dink around with this for just a second and sort of kind of show what these are going to look. You can put them together any way you want, and it just happens. See if I can do this. Let's see if I'm this coordinated. I mean, we all know I'm not, but okay. This is a really, really rough. Ta-da-da! Ta-da-da-da-da! Hello! That's pretty. So that's a really, really, really rough. Oh, I wish I had more. Oh, here's a stitch marker. Here's one on this other project that I'm going to show you in a minute. And then I can hook that bottom together, keep it from flipping around. Because these two want to flip around. Okay, this is going to help. And here's another stitch marker. And I think I can remember what I'm doing over here. Yeah, I can remember that. And if I can keep these ends from flipping out, then it'll kind of look normal. Okay, let's see how this looks. And I'll bet you there is. I've got one more stitch marker over here. One more over here. Yeah, we're not unprepared. This was just a last second sort of thought. And of course, once we get these all together, at first I was thinking I'm just going to connect these however they show up, but I changed my mind. I'm going to wait till I get them all and then see how I want to connect them. Okay, so just as a sort of kind of idea, well, now that thing in the middle is popping out, but there you go. That's sort of kind of what they look like. Shoot, that one in the middle wants to pop undone. There we go. Okay, there. Ta-da! So see how pretty the colors look together? So that just shows you that it doesn't matter what they look like. You can do anything you want with all the different colors. I'm liking the way those look. And that's just the first 4. So by the time I get 12, it's going to look really nice together. And maybe I'll put a little border on them. Who knows? We'll see. So anyhow, that's what I've been doing with there, getting those things, there's somebody out there, getting those blocked and ready to go in the mail. So there's mine. Get them blocked and ready to go in the mail. So I'm going to show you what my blocking process is. And it was way easier than I thought it was going to be because I don't actually block things very often. And I can think of a couple of different projects that I think if I had blocked them, they would have turned out much nicer looking. So as I was saying, part of what I've been doing this week, actually a big part of what I've been doing this week is blocking. So we've been working on blocking all of the squares that are going out for the square exchange. And these are the blocking mats. This is a basic blocking mat and blocking pins. And I'm just using T-pins, a basic T-pin that you can get anywhere. What's important about T-pins is that you're using stainless ones, that you don't want ones that are going to rust, because these will rust and then cause problems with your project. This one is dry now, finally. It took a couple of days to dry, and they will take a while to dry. When you're using acrylic yarn, you're going to want to steam block these. I tried just using, I tried just using a spray bottle. Whoops, I got a note on there. I tried just using a water bottle, a spray bottle, and what I found was after it dried, it kind of just shrunk back to its original shape. So I really did need to steam block these. And you can see with the steam block, it did a much better job of holding the shape that I gave it. And it's still a little bit off, but it's much, much better. It did a much better job of holding the shape. And there's our little helper. There's our little helper. Hi. Yeah, that's my life right there. Okay, so, but with the steam blocking, it did a much better job of holding the shape that I blocked it into. You can see that right there. And it was pretty simple to do. All I did was I took my iron, and in fact, my iron's still right here. It's not hot. I don't have it plugged in, of course. But all I did was I took my iron hot and laid it down and held it over the item. This is hard to do with one hand, y'all. Held my iron right over the item. And you've got to be super careful that you don't touch, because it will just melt the acrylic. But what I did, I kind of cheated, because I've got these pins all sticking up right here, right? So I sort of touched it to the top of the pins and used that as a guide to not get it too close to the project. And as long as I was touching those pins, I knew I wasn't too close. Now, I would not rely on this 1000%, but it was a guide. And then I just fooshed, and went around there and steamed it. And you only had to do it like once or twice all the way around. Good Lord. Child, what are you doing over there? Knocking stuff over. That's what she's doing. And so I steam blocked those, and it took about a full day for them to dry. Set this iron down somewhere. And then it's ready to go. So then you just take the pins out, and you've got this nicely blocked item. It is not hard. It just takes up a little bit of time. If you don't have these blocking mats, which we got in a set, came in a set like this, and it came with this, which has all the pins in it. It also came with some stitch markers, I don't know why, and these funny little thimbles, these little finger thimbles. But we actually won this set. We being Miss Morgan, won that set last year's Yarny Social that Miss Dana put on. Excuse me. You're going to want to you are going to want to get the information and go to this year's Yarny Social. It's going to be bigger and better than ever. And if I can find it, if I can find the link, I will put it down below in the description box. I think there's information out about it already. So yeah, these are the blocks that are going out. This is the last one that was blocked. It was taking a little longer to dry. Most of them are done and already have the ends all sewn in, so they are ready to go in the mail. Yaha! So if you are in my group, I'm going to be mailing mine out with Miss Cynthia. So you're going to get 2 blocks in the same envelope. And I thought, you know, as long as I've already got all my blocking stuff out and ready. Oh, I was going to say, if you don't have something like this, you can use a piece of cardboard. You can go to the fabric store, and they have cardboard cutting mats. They're like a fold-up mat. And you can lay those out and use it for that. You can use a towel. I have blocked things on a towel laid out on a bedspread, and that works just fine. Doesn't have to be something like this. You can even buy, they've got these same kind of a block. Let me show you the back of it, because you can buy these things that are made for kids, like playroom, and then you're not spending as much because they're not specifically for this type of a deal. So these are my blocks from my knit along, and I thought, you know, I've already got all this stuff out, so let's just get these blocked and ready to go. And you may notice that my blocks are not all the same size. There's a surprise. Yeah, so these are all, that one's still a little damp. I had them stacked up. I stacked them like this, kind of kitty corner in a stack like that, and the air wasn't quite getting enough to it. So I need to get that last one in the air. And if you're really lucky, you have some of these things, and these are called, what are these things called? Blocking pins, I think is what they're called. If I can get one out. I can get a smaller one out. I think they're called blocking pins, and they're like this. So when you put them in, you're doing a whole chunk at one time instead of the individual pins. Those are super nice. And when you get a set of blocking pins, you usually get some big ones like this. See, that one's twice the size, and some small ones. And those are really nice, especially like you got a project like this or a big project, and then you can do a big chunk at one time. These also came in this set, in this kit. So that worked out really nice. I've got a cover on this table because I wasn't sure with the water and the steam and all this, and this beautiful table that Mr. made for me. Isn't that gorgeous? With the, what is that called? A live edge table. And he made this out in the garage for me from a tree that we had in the backyard that we had to take down. And he had somebody cut the slabs, and then he finished it all up and made a table for me.
A sawmill.
Yeah, he had a sawmill cut the slabs, and then he made the table for me. Sometime when I don't have it covered in all my junk, haha. Yeah, that's going to happen, right? This is what I do with my leftover yarn. I cake it up and put it in here, and I mark what kind of yarn it is, how much. I measure the grams that are left, figure out how much yardage is in there, and then I stack them in here. So it's nice and neat and tidy. Surprised, aren't you? Aren't you surprised that I'm that organized? Yeah, nobody would ever believe it. So anywho, this is a big part of what I have been doing this week, is blocking and sewing in ends. Blocking and sewing in ends. Getting those ready for the mail and getting these ready to sew together. Sew together like this. Because I sewed these together before I blocked them, and that was a mistake. That was a mistake. So I'm going to have to, when I'm all done with those, I'm going to see, then I can interlock these and put these out and do a big long one, and I can block this. So wanted to show you what the whole blocking setup looked like. Okay, that's that chunk of what I've been doing this week. Okay, so see, that looked pretty good, and it was easy, and boy does it make a difference in how your blocks look when you give them, put them on the blocking mats and steam block them. The squares look so much nicer when you're done, and it's not difficult. Now I found some clips, so now you can see these way better. See how nice they look? How nice they look when they're all put together. Look at that. So you'll be able to really set these up any way you want and see how they look in any kind of combination before you connect them together, before you crochet them together, or do however it is that you're going to put together. And if you want to put a little border around them with a color like, black or white or whatever, to kind of pull the whole thing together, that's up to you. You do whatever you want to do. This is going to be your blankie. So I haven't decided. I will see when I get all the blocks if that's something that I choose to do. I'm very excited to be receiving these blocks, and to start getting them already is really making me happy. So that's the main thing I've done this week. I have been sewing in ends on my blocks and getting them squared up, getting them blocked on the blocking mats. The other thing that I have been working really, really hard on is, if you have been following my little knit along with the squares, you will know that one thing that has come out of that is several people, well, of course, many of you don't knit and have kind of wanted something other than a knitting project. And those of you that do knit, several people said that they found the project was too easy and kind of boring. And so you wanted something different. So Miss Cheryl and I, Cheryl Wells of UU Yarns, I'll make sure and put the name of her channel down below. She's just getting her channel started up again. But I'll tell you what, her videos, the way of explaining things is really, really good. She does a really good job. Her tutorials are very well done and very, very good. She just does a really good job. So she only has very few videos. She's going to have a lot more. She's got a lot of things planned in the future. So please keep an eye on them and be watching for more and more of them. I do know in the fall, maybe beginning of the year, she's going to be doing a knit along, and it's going to be much, much nicer than the one that I'm doing right now. It's going to be more advanced and a much better variety of the blocks than mine is. But what has come out of my knit along is a request for something different. So Cheryl and I put our little heads together, and this is what we've come up with. We're going to be doing a make along. Cheryl is designing a knit shawl. Hers is going to be a triangle shawl. And I'll tell you what, it is beautiful. At first we were just going to do the Stephen West Boneyard shawl. And the more she looked at it, there was a couple things. It was very, very basic, and we were afraid the same thing was going to happen. People were going to get tired of it pretty quickly. And secondly, because it's somebody else's design, she can't do tutorials, she can't show working on it. Basically, we can just say, okay, here you go, have fun. And that's the two problems with it. So she took the basic size of it, size and shape, which it's a triangle shawl. So they're, you know, they're out there. And she designed her own shawl. And I knew that's what was going to happen because she loves to design. But she swears it's going to be easy enough for the beginning knitters, but interesting enough for those of you who know how to knit and want something with more substance. She will do tutorials for the few stitches that are a little more complicated, and so I'm excited to see that. For the crocheters, I have designed my very, very first shawl, my very first anything, and it's easy. It's definitely easy because it's my very first thing I've ever designed. I wanted something that was going to be something you could wear spring, summer, fall. I'm thinking where I live, it's hot in the daytime in the summer, but in the evenings, it's cool. It can go from 100 degrees in the daytime and it could drop down to 60s in the evening. So you're sitting out on the deck, you need something to cover up with. You've got, it's 80, 90, 100 degrees outside. Every building you walk into, they've got the AC blasting. So I wanted a shawl, some people call it a wrap because it's a rectangle shape. I wanted something that I can throw on over my shoulders, over my arms, but it isn't a full-on sweater. So I picked a design that it would still give me some coverage, but had some lightness to it, if that makes sense. So I've finished my design and I have finished my samples so I could come up with the style and the amount of yarn that you're going to need. And it's ready to talk about. So this is it. So this is it in a 3-weight. Isn't it pretty? And this is it in a 4-weight. A little more, you can tell it's much more substantial. Of course, this is a solid color. I like it in a solid color. This is it in a ombre, I guess. I think the ombre takes away from the design, but the design isn't that spectacular that it's a big deal if it does. If I've done it fingering, I've done it so 1-weight and a 3-weight and a 4-weight. I did not have a 2-weight to do it, but I roughed up how much yarn you would need. Mine is going to be 24 inches wide this way and about 5.5 to 6 feet wide that way. If you don't want to make it that way, you don't have to. You can make it this way, and then, see if I can do this. You can make it like this and then crochet up, like you were doing a scarf. Because some people don't like to crochet wide. I do blankets all the time, so it's no big deal for me to chain 200 or 250 and go. So if you like the design looking wide, you can do it that way. If you like the design not as wide, more narrow and long, you can do it that way. If you want to do solids with color stripes, you can do that. If you want to do the whole thing one color, like I'm going to do, you can do that. It's very, very versatile. When you're doing, if you choose to do the knit version, she's going to give you the information for doing it as a 3-weight or as a 4-weight. And that's kind of all I know about the knit right now. We will have a full-on announcement probably in a week or so that you got plenty of time. It's going to start on when I say start, full on, all the information dropped and ready to go on the, let me look, 5th of May 5th. There's not a timeline. There's not, it's a crochet along, it's a knit along. You got to do this and then this and then this. We're going to start it on this date and then you just go. Do whatever you want. as, you know, work it into with your other projects or just go to town on it. You can make just the crochet, you can make the crochet and the knit, whatever you want to do. I'm doing the lighter weight one because, and I'm going to be using Cascade Anthem DK. I do not have, I've ordered it. I do not have it yet. When it gets in, which I will have that in within a week or so, and then I'll be able to show you exactly what I'm going to use. I'm going to use a lighter color. I'm thinking a lavender, because I just kind of like the idea of that color. I don't even have anything here that I can kind of show you, but that's just what's in my brain. But I wanted, like I said, something lighter weight that I can use spring, fall, summer, but if you wanted something a little heavier, and it'll work up fast for sure, grab that 4-weight. So that's what's going on with the shawl. It is just about ready to go. If you're going to use a 4-weight, going 24 inches wide, going about 5.5 feet, going 24 inches this way, about 5.5 feet that way, you are going to want, and I used, for my sample, I used Red Heart with Love, and it's a good solid heavy 4-weight, and I figured you're going to need between 4 and 5 skeins. If you're using a 3-weight for my Anthem, I'm going to get 4 skeins. If you're using a mandala, you should be able to do the whole thing with 2 cakes. If you're using a fingering weight, 2.5 to 3 skeins. So with the 2-weight, I'm guessing 3 skeins, between 3 and 4. So for every weight up, you're going to need 1 more skein of yarn. So 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. It's kind of how that's going to go. And then, you know me, every time I do a project, I get at least 1 extra skein. If you want to do stripes, you know, that's one way of mixing your yarns. If you want to use leftovers, you absolutely can do that. Whatever you want. This is very, very loosey-goosey on how you want to work it up. And that's what I intended. That is what I intended this to be. Like I said, I'm using a very specific kind of yarn because I definitely wanted a 3-weight, and I don't have a lot of 3-weight hanging around. And I very specifically wanted to use the Anthem 3-weight. So, and I'll show you that when I get it. When it comes in, I'll show it to you, and I'll show you why I love it and why I recommend it. That's it. That's it on Finish It Friday. That's it on the update of the shawl. That's kind of the shawl announcement. I've had a lot of people asking me, how much yarn do I need? What kind of yarn? What size? When are we going to start? So this is a great way to use stash yarn, but if you want to use a specific yarn, that's what I'm suggesting is the Anthem, the Cascade Anthem 3. Alrighty. I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so very much for popping in. See you later.